Power is often stripped from people with a learning disability and autistic people and their families. This is leading to lifelong trauma and loss of life.
Beth, from the age of sort of 2, we saw a difference. We saw the terrible 2s was a stage that she didn't grow out of. Beth would pick up anything, toys, chairs, tables, throw them around, because what was happening for her was she was moving the focus. And looking back, we see that became the pattern for her life from that point onwards.
When I was about 9 or 10, I started struggling with my mental health a lot more. Things like panic attacks, a lot of anxiety, started self-harming, and then from that it kind of escalated to the point where mental health services felt that I should be in hospital. While I was in hospital, I got my autism diagnosis at 16. It was a bit like, oh and she's autistic. There's no inpatient care for autistic people with mental health struggles. It's all a mental health hospital with autistic people in it.
Hospitalization is rarely the answer. People with a learning disability and autistic people typically find themselves in places not suited to their needs.
You know, we didn't get to see the ward, we didn't get to see her bedroom. We trusted the professionals telling us that that was what we needed.
You just have you and the clothes you're stood in at that moment, and you stop being a person with their own identity and feelings. You're room 7 or you're room 2. You're not Lucy.
She has so many sensory needs around sudden loud noises, bright lights, unpredictable behaviours, that putting her in a ward with people displaying those very things just tormented her. We also saw Beth behaving in a way that would get her put into seclusion deliberately because she could not cope with that ward environment. The periods of seclusion went from half an hour to half a day to a day, and eventually they stopped opening the door. And Beth spent 3 years in a seclusion cell, in an environment that was just a room 12 feet by 18 feet, nothing but a mattress on the floor. It was brutal.
Within that unit, your whole world becomes these 2 corridors and a handful of rooms, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, for an undetermined amount of time, or for some people for years. And the restrictions that are in place kind of shrink your world even more.
I have a severe learning disability, and I also have mental health issues too, so being in the hospital made my mental health worse. I think because my personality changes, so your mood swings change when you're in places like that.
The impact of that is a person is left in a setting that's distressing them, and it makes them even more ill. So they get more medication. Their opportunity to engage in therapy isn't there, but also their state of mind doesn't enable them to engage. The fact that the units are not autism friendly means the staff don't have the autistic approaches necessary. So an autistic person, for example, might need information put across in a certain way. The staff aren't equipped to do that. So the person can't even take on any support or information they're being given. And it's just this spiral of descent into distress.
Getting yourself back again doesn't start until you leave and you're out and you've got your family and friends and community, and you've got a team of people who are fighting to keep you out and help you get well.
The changes that I want to see are the same changes the government know need to be done. And it's about, firstly, getting early diagnosis. It's then about getting support for people while they are in the community. It's about getting the right provision outside of hospital. You know, community provision does not exist. The money is there. The money is in the system. The money needs to be used in the right place, which is community, not hospital.
The Secretary of State for Health and Social Care must use their new powers to improve support for people with a learning disability and autistic people to live in the community and reduce their detention in mental health hospitals. Use your power to change this. Sign our petition at www.voiceability.org/useyourpower.